Okay, guys, so at this point, we've been talking and practicing a lot about adverbs, and you know that an adverb adds on to a verb. It describes an action and how, when, or where that action happens. So let's talk about adverbs versus adjectives because they're both describing words, but there's a main difference because adjectives describe nouns, so they describe people, places, or things. But adverbs only describe actions. So let's look at some examples. So if we have this sentence, Tracy eagerly attends softball practice. Well, we need to think about what is eagerly describing. Is it describing a person, place, or thing? Or is it describing an action? And in this case, eagerly describes how Tracy attends. Therefore, it's an adverb. Let's look at this example. Tracy is eager to attend practice. Well, who or what is eager? Tracy is, so that makes it an adjective. So as we move along this unit, I just wanted to make sure you knew the difference. Adverbs describe actions and adjectives describe nouns. And today we're going to talk about a skill that we did also with adjectives, and that is when we need to compare actions. So here we have a group of lovely fellas and they are all jumping. And what if we want to compare how they are jumping? Who's jumping the highest? Who is jumping higher than someone else? So as you can see, well, technically speaking, I think this guy is the highest. His hand reaches the highest. So we're going to go with him. So comparing with adverbs, we follow the same rules as adjectives. So an adverb can compare two or more actions. For example, first we have Matt jumped high, right? High describes how he jumped. But what if we're comparing how Matt jumped compared to Theo? Matt jumped higher than Theo. Higher describes how he jumped, and in this case, he jumps higher than Theo. But if we want to compare how Matt jumped compared to all the other guys, we would say Matt jumped the highest of all. So remember when we were talking adjectives and we either added est, more, or most? We do the same thing here. So here's the rule. You add to the end of a short adverb to compare two actions. Remember, is short. It has two letters, so you use it to describe two actions. But you use est to compare more than two actions. Pretty simple there. We know that. Okay, so let's look at some examples. Our track club practices blank in spring than in winter. Well, we want to use this adverb hard. Would we say our track club practices harder in spring than winter or hardest in spring than in winter? Well, we're comparing how we jump in spring and how we jump in winter. That's two things, so we would say harder. All right, let's try the next one. Saturday is the day we begin blank. So we're comparing Saturday to all the other days of the week. Therefore, we would need to say what? Saturday is the day we begin earlier or earliest. Think about it. It's earliest. We're comparing how we begin from one day to all the other days. What about this one? You try it on your own. Today I jogged blank than I did yesterday. We're comparing an action from today and yesterday. So what would we use? We would use longer. Good. And one more for fun. Of all the members in our club, Sonia can jump blank. You try this one on your own. And the answer is dun, 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 highest. We're comparing how Sonia can jump compared to how the other people jump. Very good. So notice these are all short adverbs. Hard, early, long, high. So we use or est. However, if we have longer adverbs, we need to use more or most. So when comparing, use more or most with long adverbs, like I just mentioned, and also adverbs that end in ly. So again, you use more to compare two actions like this. Nina packed more carefully than Dan. We're comparing how Nina packed to how Dan packed, so it's more carefully. We would not say carefullier. I can't even say that. So it ends in an ly. We need to use more or most. But we use most to compare more than two actions. For example, Jim packed the most skillfully of all. Again, we're not going to say the skillfuliest. That doesn't sound right. We want to use most skillfully because it ends in an ly. And remember our rule, you never use or est with more or most. That is a huge pet peeve. We would not say most higher, most highest, not okay. All right, let's practice with more and most. What do we need to use here? Beginners should run blank than experienced runners. We want to use the adverb slowly. We're describing how they run. What do we say, more slowly or most slowly? Just say it out loud. There's only one thing that makes sense, and that would be more slowly. Let's check this one out. Of all the club runners, Alex practices blank frequently. We're comparing how Alex practices to all the other runners. So what would we use? Or est? No! It ends in ly, so most frequently. Let's do one more. Of the 3 big races, our club trains blank for the 5K race. So we're comparing how we train for one race compared to all the other races. So we would say, of the 3 big races, our club trains most seriously for the 5K race. Again, not seriousliest. That doesn't even sound right. So what you're going to do now is you're going to practice these skills with IXL. So go ahead and you can start on that.